What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz City Podcast, where today you are watching episode 2 of FBS Fridays, which we will try to be doing every Friday of every week. And I say maybe because, schedules happen, life happens. So you might not be able to do it every week. But as of right now, we are here, right, with my guy Blue, who, if you on YouTube, he needs no introduction. You know what Blue does. My guy Clay McCarter, all right, in the top right. And then my boy Trey. I say boy loosely. I say my guy loosely. Nah, my dog Trey in the bottom left. Hey, what's good, John?
What's going on, guys? Blue, what's up, baby? Trey, nice to meet you.
You too, man.
All right, so check this out. We're gonna jump right into it because I got a lot of things I want to talk about regarding this past week and what's going on right now. The first thing, these snow games, right? Like I've seen some of these snow games up in the north where the snow is just crazy. Like, Blue, you know what game I'm talking about. It was on national television. You couldn't see the fans. You could barely tell the players apart. It's getting ridiculous. In your opinions, do you believe that these snow games need to be moved to like a dome, like somewhere close by? What's the deal with this?
I would say it depends. Like, okay, if it's like a Buffalo Bills situation where it's like 6 feet of snow and like it's taller than some players, then like, yeah, you probably got to move it. But man, if it's anywhere like 3-4 feet, man, listen, I don't know about y'all. I love to see the chaos. I just want to see pure chaos where like players get tackled and they slide 15 feet to the sideline. Like I want that in my life. And you're gonna have to play in the NFL. So I don't think you should move it. It's part of football, but if it's like 6 feet, like Devin Singletary is what, 5'7"? Like if that's 3 inches taller than Devin Singletary, then yeah, you probably got to move it. Like that's impossible to play in. But anything less than that, man, I think it's just part of football.
Yeah, I would agree. I say that it should be weighted into depending on how bad the weather truly is. I agree. I mean, if like you said, Devin Singletary is what, 5'7", and Nick Chubb's probably about maybe 5'11". Maybe 6 foot in cleats. So it's like if the snow's supposed to be over their heads, they can't play football, obviously. But more so of, if they have the ability to, of course, try to dome them in the event of if it's 3 feet of snow. Yeah, but I mean, if you can't see the jerseys and you can't see the fans, what are we doing here? I mean, we're
right. That's my thing. Like if you can't see it, if it was a Central Michigan game and you can't tell apart the players at that point, like you shouldn't just be moved.
Yes. I would say in the event, under certain circumstances, yes. But more so if I want to see the grittiness, like he said, I want to see, some of those historic snow games that it's a lot of downhill, smash mouth, running the ball. And then, some pass plays happen, even in some torrential snowfall. But
Trey, what about you?
I mean, honestly, I feel the same way, man. I feel like if you got drafted to that team, then you got to get adjusted to the environment. Like, sadly, Buffalo is all the way north, and, just got to adapt to the environment. Now, college, I feel a little different about it. I feel they shouldn't risk it. Like the injuries, sliding, you could pull something, tear something, mess up your draft stock. But NFL, I mean, like you said, he's 5'7". I mean, it sucks, but that's what you signed up for. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Now, the next thing I want to talk about, right? Obviously, y'all have all heard about the tragedy that happened at the University of Virginia, where a shooting took place and 3 football players on the team passed away as a result. Virginia canceled the game that they had this week with Coastal Carolina, and understandably so. Nobody's thinking about football right now, but they have 1 game left against Virginia Tech. I'm not sure if they're bowl eligible. Blue, do you know?
I think they might be playing for it, if I'm not mistaken.
So
let's see. No, they're not. They're not. Due to them canceling the game, they fall to 3-7.
Okay, so they're not bowl eligible because you need like 6 wins. But should they go ahead and cancel the rest of the season? Because I mean, 3 of these guys are now they're deceased now. They live in 3 different states. That's 3 different funerals is going to take place. The players are going to want to be there. Should they just go ahead and cancel the rest of the season?
I would say more so, it's a very tragic event. Like you said, I would say, thoughts aren't on the game of football. I know we all love sports. It's why we're gathered here. But like you said, man, 3 3 different states, 3 funerals. I mean, you got some people who are still injured from the shooting. I think that I don't know who the exact player was.
Yeah,
This
the
has been
running back.
listed. He's up and walking. I guess recuperating from those injuries, sustained in that. But man, I think, with the last game being played against Virginia Tech, and obviously, what has happened there in the past, I would say more so of, probably not, honestly. I would say we're not playing a bowl game. I mean, if you want to let the seniors, if you're thinking of it for the seniors, yeah, but think about the players' families and if they're going to use it as a thing where they're going to conjoin families to bring everybody in and make people feel loved and welcomed and, and to carry people through, obviously, the pain and tragedy that's going on, it's up in the air, man. I would say whatever happens, man, happens. I just, prayers out to the families, and that's very tragic.
Yeah, it's a tricky situation because I think there's an argument that you can make to cancel it. I trust the players and the coaches in that who's inside that program to take a vote on it. And what I would say is I support whatever decision they make. So if they take a vote and they decide to cancel the season, then man, I'm all for it. But if they say, listen, man, we're going to take a week off, handle this, but we still want to have senior day and we still want to play that last game for those seniors, then I'll also completely support it. But I'm not going to tell anyone how to grieve, I feel like. So whatever they decide is the best for them, I'm going to support them 100% and whatever they vote internally to do.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, how they should take a vote. I mean, everybody grieves differently. And there are seniors on the team who probably want to play, and there's probably some freshmen who kind of don't care right now about playing. But I respect whatever decision they come up with. Everybody takes a vote, decide, take another week off, and then play, do what you got to do. But it's a sad situation. I do trust the coaching staff, the school administration, and more importantly, the players. I feel they'll make the right decision for the team. As long as they make a team vote, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
Gosh. Now, regarding on a lighter note, back to a lighter note, regarding the ACC and the conference as a whole, they've been kind of up and down all season. Clemson finally losing their first game to my guy's team. I ain't gonna say their name. I'm not gonna say their name because I know he's still good. He's still feeling good about it. But questioning, if whoever wins the ACC, should they be allowed to be able to make the college football playoffs? And if you do believe so, how much of a chance do you even give that happening?
I think they're going to need some help, especially because both of the teams that are like the favorites to win it have really bad losses. Like the UNC loss to Notre Dame looks atrocious, and then Clemson lost by 30 to them too.
Yeah,
And it's two horrible losses in my opinion. And so, are you going to argue that a one-loss ACC champion deserves to be in over Tennessee? Probably not. Are you going to, if LSU beats Georgia, are they more deserving than LSU and SEC champ or a one-loss Georgia? That's going to be a tough one to make. And they're going to have the Big Ten champ. Then you're potentially going to have a one-loss Pac-12 champ. They're going to have to try to get in over. I think they're going to need some help. And I don't think conference champions should just be able to walk into the playoffs, in my opinion.
exactly.
So I think they're going to need help. But I personally, right now, especially if it's North Carolina, don't see it happening because even that close game with App State has aged horribly because App State's kind of falling apart down the stretch. So I don't know if either team's going to have enough signature wins on their resume to get into the playoffs as of right now.
I agree with pretty much everything he's saying, man. Not discrediting anything he's saying. I would say, yeah, it's tough just with the way that it's set up with both of those being bad losses. I think that, more so when I say with how it's set up with us being in a 4-team college football playoff, with this whole, well, he won the conference or, well, I mean, they beat the man kind of, that argument that happens, well, they beat the man kind of thing. It's up in the air. Just if it's an 8-team thing in the future, maybe they'll take that into consideration where, conference winners are going into a spot. And then you have those teams that are, on the brink of being a top 4 team. Cause that's kind of really what matters in the end of the day, that's what everybody's team. That's what your team wakes up for. In practices, it's everybody's trying to be a top 4 team. Everybody's trying to go and go bowl and go play the big games that really matter. Not the Duke's Mayo Bowl and other things like that. Those boys are trying to play for a college football championship. So, as of right now, man, I don't see it.
Yeah, in the future, I would probably love to see, the winner of every conference in in the playoffs if it goes to 8 teams. But right now, the number 1 team in the ACC, I don't want to see that right now, to be honest. I mean, the ACC isn't, in my opinion, they're not really all that a tough conference. I mean, Clemson lost to Notre Dame. As a Notre Dame fan, we're not good. I mean, we're an independent school, and we play whoever has an available schedule. And as you can see, I mean, we lost to Marshall. That's embarrassing. And for us to dominate Clemson the way we did, I'm not surprised that Alabama's 2 losses are ahead of Clemson, their 1 loss. So I personally don't think the ACC should be in the playoffs.
Let me ask you this: what's stopping y'all from moving to the ACC though? Because I kind of like that. I want to see y'all in the ACC with Clemson and the North Carolinas. What's going on with that? Blue, if is it a proximity thing? Why don't they want to move to a conference?
Is it
a
not?
money thing.
Yeah,
It's a money thing.
Brian Kelly and money.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it? Now, quote me if I might be wrong, Trey. And Blue, obviously. Is it not considered a private school?
It is considered a private school, but
but that
it's a public. I mean, I feel like it's like a public education. I don't know how that works. I mean, it's technically a private school, but it's technically if you get accepted, you can go kind of thing.
But
you got to think about BYU also. They're a private school, but they're a part of what conference BYU is in?
They're joining the Big 12 at the end of this season. But private schools, there's a bunch of private schools that are in conferences. It's not that. They have an exclusive TV deal with NBC, and so they have no incentive football-wise to join a conference. Now, the rumor is, I think, if you're asking me, yes, all their sports play ACC right now, but with USC and UCLA joining the Pac-12, they are more likely to join the Big 10 than they are the ACC in football, because their 2 biggest rivals in USC and UCLA are now going to be in the Big 10. And you got a billions of dollars worth of TV deal that they're going to get a big split of. And so and NBC and Peacock are involved in the Big 10 deal, and now they have rights to stream Big 10 games. So I really do think the way the Big 10 negotiated the TV deal, and the reason they really, truly, outside the TV market, went and got UCLA and USC, everyone was bidding to try to get Notre Dame to join their conference. And so that was the ACC has all the other sports, but the Big 10 said we're going to get their 2 biggest rivals, and that's going to be their trump card over the other conferences. So I really do think that Notre Dame will join the Big 10 more so than the ACC moving forward.
I pray not.
Man, Blue, he hit us with the business side of it. I like that. I definitely appreciate it. That's a good perspective. I know that they do have exclusive deals and things of that such, and their boosters. That Notre Dame checkbook is. We talk about Bama and Texas and all these other schools having blank checks from boosters. Notre Dame's got some money.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about LSU, man, and the great ball they've been playing. With Jaden Daniels at the helm, I mean, he started off the season kind of slow, but man, has he been on fire as of late. So much so that people are actually calling for him to there are some people I've seen on Fox who are he should win the Heisman. I wouldn't go that far, but he's playing some really good football. But my question is, should LSU be in the playoff hypothetically, if they win the SEC championship?
Blue, tell it as a fan of a team in the West. Just go ahead, because as a fan and as a rival, I don't really.
Now, listen, I mean, I hate LSU. I would love them not to go, but at the end of the day, I mean, what's the argument against them? Because yes, they have a week 1 loss to Florida State, where technically, I mean, it was a missed extra point where they just killed it themselves, and then they lost to Tennessee at home. But you could say they lost to Tennessee at home, and you could put Tennessee in over them. But the one thing they would have to do in this scenario is they would go to Atlanta and beat Georgia in the SEC championship. They would have the best win of any team in college football, and it would not even be a debate. And at the end of the day, yes, you judge full resumes, but it does speak to something that, yes, they have a first-year head coach, first-year starting quarterback in that system. Man, they went through some early season struggles, and now they're hot. And at the end of the day, man, a two-loss SEC champion with wins over Ole Miss, Alabama, and on top of that, they beat Georgia in Georgia. Because you can say what you want, that's not a neutral site game. I've been to Auburn, Georgia in the SEC championship. It's 85% Georgia fans, and they're barking at you all day long, and it's the most annoying thing in the world. They deserve to get in if they win the SEC championship. Now, do I think they do? No way. Georgia's going to run through them. Jaden Daniels is going to be exposed with that Georgia defense. But if they find a way to win, LSU deserves to go to the college football playoffs.
But hypothetically, right? Like, not even. Here's my concern if that does happen. You can't keep Georgia out because of that one loss in the SEC championship, right? You can't punish them, for that one loss. So now, I'm looking at it and I'm like, you can't also put 3 teams in the 4-team playoff, 3 SEC teams. I think people are gonna have a big problem with that. So, let's say they do beat Georgia, you can't leave them out. So now they're in. LSU is gonna have to be in. Whoever out of Ohio State or Michigan is gonna have to be in. And then what do you do with Tennessee?
That's the thing is, well, we're talking about this theoretically. Should LSU be in the playoffs if they win the SEC championship game? In theory, it's still a really hard conversation because you still have the opportunity that TCU can go undefeated. You have the opportunity for Michigan. Well, Michigan and Ohio State can't go undefeated. So you have undefeated one of them and a 1-loss one of them. You have Tennessee still. Then you have a 2-loss team making the playoff. Now, what are the likelihoods of it? If you beat Georgia and there's another 1-loss team and you take straight the schedule into it, when you have Michigan hasn't played nobody. If you really look at it on paper and strength of schedule in terms of the rankings, Michigan has not really played anybody. Now, Georgia has played people and beat people, dominated actually a couple of teams. We try to make as a Florida fan, we try to make a little rush on them, and they said, no. We're not going to take our foot off the gas. We got within about 8 points, and then they said, no. Let's put a dead to that. So, in reality, man, Georgia's going to beat them. Like he was saying, home game, 85%. I mean, it's Atlanta. It's Atlanta. Atlanta, Georgia. The Vegas of East Coast. So that's a home game. These boys are going to go in there. I got them beating LSU. I'm saying it's going to be minimum 14-17. Minimum. I say it's going to be a 35-14-ish game, or LSU scored a 35-17 kind of thing. Georgia's going to get theirs. They're going to win the SEC championship game. They're not losing until we see what happens in the playoffs. So LSU, it's tough.
Yeah, I see Georgia. I see Georgia rolling over LSU. But the thing that I'm more curious about. So I remember I forgot who said it, but somebody brought up, will a 2-loss team make the playoffs? This is going to sound crazy, but I see Bama kind of creeping up.
Really?
In a way.
Really?
If the CFP, whoever the voter committee is, if Nick Saban still has them in a chokehold, I see Bama possibly creeping up. Because anybody know what's Bama's rank right now? I know they're top 10, but
yeah, they're 9 or 10.
9 or 10, okay. And I know TCU is ahead of them. With UCLA, USC. I just feel if they just bog the season, Bama possibly, if the college football polls are still in love with Nick Saban, Alabama, they might get that number 4 spot.
They're gonna need some help, though. I mean, it could easily happen because, I mean, if you look at it, if LSU loses the SEC championship, they're out. If TCU loses a single game, out of there as well, and then Oregon, USC can't afford to lose a game, and one of them is going to get knocked out anyway. And then here's the real scenario that
Oregon's going to lose.
Happen. Oh,
hey, leave me alone, Trey.
I knew
Trey,
that was
leave
coming,
me alone,
but...
man. I wish we could there's a way that we could make both of our screens just go.
Yeah, but
way out. Let y'all talk for a minute. We'll come back.
Yeah, but I mean, and then here's the real scenario is what happens if Ohio State beats Michigan, goes to the Big Ten championship, and gets upset.
Mm. Mm.
Then the Big Ten champ is what, Wisconsin or whoever. I don't even know who's in the lead in that trash division, but I mean they're not getting into the playoffs. And then do you say a one-loss Big Ten team that didn't win the Big Ten championship gets in?
Good points. Good
That's
point.
a good point. That is a good point.
That's a great point, actually.
Trey, what do you
All
think?
right, so I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying this year, like the voting is always interesting. I think this year around this time is always the most interesting because there's so many what ifs and what could happen. You know, you never know. You never know. So this year has been a real interesting year.
I don't think Bama really has a chance. I think that their season ends at whatever bowl game they play. They're not.
Yeah,
You're
I
not
don't.
an SEC championship game, and how do you make it in over Tennessee because that was supposed to be your statement game, and you lost your statement game. You know what I mean? And on top of that, you dropped another one.
Yeah.
It's over for Bama. For Bama fans, sorry to say it, but Bama doesn't.
Yeah, it's over realistically. Like, I mean, I'm talking about you would need some like NCAA 14 chaos for them to get in. Like Tennessee would have to lose this upcoming or one of these next two games. I mean, you would have to have like everybody in like the top 8 drop a game pretty much.
Okay, so virtually it's impossible for them, basically.
Yeah.
All right, now let's get into a little bit of recruiting, right? And I've been meaning to talk about this kid for so long, but I'm glad we get the chance to do it now. Arch Manning. Now, for what it's worth, I like the kid. Kid. Listen, I've seen the videos of him visiting Clemson. He threw that nice little pass that went viral. You know, like I like him. I like his game. I mean, look at his family. Eli, Peyton. He has a lot of training. His granddad was a legend at Ole Miss. But as soon as he got the hype, people kind of came out of nowhere and was like, it's because of his last name that he's a 5-star recruit. It's because of his last name that he has all of this hype. In that if he didn't have that last name, if Arch's last name was Brown or something, he'd be a 3-star prospect. In your opinion, do you believe that that's true or not?
I would like to think that, okay, you can see it from two sides of the coin here. You see it from two sides of the coin. Blue, I feel like you're probably going to go to this just even thinking of it when I'm choosing to put mine in before yours. I would say one side of the penny is he's been around some of the most talented people to play that position. Him having a grandfather who's NFL Hall of Famer, he kind of started the Manning book. But when you have Peyton, you have Eli, you have guy who's in the conversation for literally the greatest quarterback of all time. Does he fall far from the tree? Do you have that side of the penny? All the years of having multiple different super talented minds in his ear and the ability to have a free cash expense to any kind of training or meeting with some of the best guys out there when he was coming up. And as of right now, what kind of training is he getting behind closed doors that we don't know about? Who's around him? Who are these guys shedding light in his ear? But at the same time, is he just getting the love because he just has those things? There's two sides of the penny. Do I think he's a great football player? Absolutely. His tape shows he can make beautiful throws. Does he play against the best competition? Not really. I mean, he's not playing your IMGs and Matter Days and St. John's Bosco's and Bishop Gorman's and things like that. But I mean, I would say he's a talented football player, but who's going to be developing him in Texas? Do you think that when he comes in, Texas risks changing a coaching change for who we think that we want to mold him? Who knows? I want to see it play out. I'm excited for him.
Okay, multiple things could be true at once. Is he the number one player in the country? No. I don't think he's the most talented quarterback in the recruiting class. I think the best pure overall passer is Malachi Nelson. That kid is next level out of California, and I mean
that's the Tennessee commit, right?
No. He's committed to USC, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, so he's not the kid. Okay, all right. So I'm thinking about somebody else.
USC, I believe.
Yeah, I think Tennessee's trying to get him to flip, and there were some rumors possibly, but no, he's been committed to USC since last year. But that kid is the best overall player, I think, at the quarterback position. Then also let's not forget about the kid. Kamani McLean, the cornerback. That kid is on a different level. That was committed to Miami. So I don't think he's the best quarterback in the class. But is he a borderline 4 or 5 star? Yeah, man. I mean, the kid's talented. We'll see, what he has to be. But what I think people are kind of a lot of people think he's getting rated because of his name, and it's not really because of that. And they're mostly rooting against him, to be honest. All the people who keep saying he's overrated are people who are actively looking, like pulling one highlight from here or one highlight from there, and just trying to like actively nitpick his game. And I don't personally think he's going to get a fair shot. Like, unless he goes out there and he's Trevor Lawrence, I mean, he could have a solid college career, but if it's not like a legendary career, people are going to say he's overrated. I don't think that's fair to the kid. I think, to be honest with y'all, I think he probably wishes his last name wasn't Manning, so he could get a really fair evaluation and a fair shot, because his whole career, it's going to be, is he Peyton? Is he?
Yeah,
It's just
tough for him. I mean,
yeah,
that's the biggest name for a next generation that's came out in a hot minute. I mean, I would say at that position. I mean, who's the last big name quarterback whose next generation up was? I mean, the man, not Kurt Warner. I mean, a lot of these other guys that are have kids that are that age. But I don't know. It's tough, man. Trey, what do you think?
I just hope that he doesn't have a career like like Barry Sanders' son. He was overhyped. He came to Stanford, didn't start, terrible. He did terrible at Stanford, in my opinion. Or like Randy Moss on the LSU. He didn't do terrible, but he didn't do what people hyped him up to do.
It's a big playoffs.
Sorry, say one more time.
Big touch playoffs.
Yeah, yeah. And I just hope he has a better season than those guys and actually prove the haters wrong. But I am excited to see who is going to win that winning spot, because Texas has that Ohio State transfer who I like to watch. Sadly, he got hurt. I don't know if he's still hurt. I haven't seen a game since that first game he was hurt. Okay, but yeah, I am excited to see who wins that winning spot. But I do hope that, so like you said, I wish his name wasn't Manning, so he could be just a regular 3-star, and Texas just saw how good of a person he was, an athlete. I'm impressed by the kid, to be honest. I mean, I never played quarterback. I suck at throwing the ball. People love saying, oh, he has 5-star receivers, but it's hard to throw dimes. I don't care what nobody says. The physics behind throwing a football is crazy, and he breaks a lot of the physics throwing that football. So I'm impressed by the kid. I hope he does amazing.
And might I? I'm sorry, Blue. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're fine. I was going to go off on a tangent, so you can finish up, and then we can take my tangent.
Might I say, I think he committed to Texas because he didn't want to follow in his uncle's footsteps. Yeah. Like, he didn't want to go to Ole Miss because of Eli. He didn't want to go to Tennessee because of Peyton. I think he chose Texas because of that. But I do not like that commit. I don't want to bash a kid for making a commit to wherever he can go wherever he wants to go. That's his right. But I don't like it. I don't see the fit. Number one, Quinn is there. He has a lot of eligibility left. So you're probably going to be sitting on the bench for a while. And if you are what people think you are, you should probably be on the field a lot more sooner. I don't like it. I don't like it. And I think it's sad, going back to what you said, Blue, because people put that hype on him. He made a decision like that. I'm just speculating that he made a decision like that to commit to Texas. And, unfortunately, we might not see him for like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if he flips, to be honest with you. But you mentioned, everyone's like, man, he's not playing the IMGs and everything. Can we just all agree that, like, it's not even fair for IMG to realistically be playing normal high schools? Like, it's ridiculous that they could just, like, pull up on, like, a normal high school and be like, hey, bro, we recruited every 5-star in the country, these grown-ass men, and we're just going to come put 90 on you and walk out. Like, that's so ridiculous. They should have to play the JUCO circuit or something.
IMG literally beat a group of grown men.
They got
twice.
Didn't they get banned from Texas? Like, they can't play Mater Dei anymore. They got banned from that league, the Trinity League, right?
Or the one out in California.
Yeah, but But you know, like that's still no excuse. Like there's still other schools in the country. I don't like that either, boo. To be honest with you, like who do they put 90 on? Like some
some
1A
Canada,
school?
some Canada prep school. They
Dude,
put 90 on them before halftime,
I
and
am
it came out.
murder.
And it came out that they were just like Bishop Sycamore and had like grown men. It was like a semi-professional league, and they put up 90 before halftime.
those boys need to be playing JUCOs.
Yes, I need to see them play Indy.
Schools.
I need to see them play East Mississippi next week, Indy Community College the next week, and then Garden City. Like the fact that they could just call up normal high schools where you just got to pick from the general student population, and literally IMG is not even like a real high school. They just train all day. Like
Right.
I don't like how do you even like I don't understand how they just got the excuse to be like, hey, we're gonna call some 3A school and just beat you half to death.
Yeah, IMG needs to be the money games for D1 schools.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
right.
IMG should be hitting up like SCAD and USCB and some people like people that are like subsidiary like secondary locations for like Division I schools and being like, yo, like y'all recruit some athletes and play us because we're gonna be your favorite player on your favorite college team and literally in about 3 or 4 months. It's the freshman. Like they don't need to be playing. If IMG, if I was told that Bluffton High School is playing IMG, as excited as I would be to go and watch that, I'm not going.
No, I'm not going. Hell no.
Staying at home and finding a way to watch it on TV. I'm not watching them do my hometown.
Now, are we talking about old school Bluffton or Bluffton now?
Old school. I mean,
Yeah, old school Bluffton.
Like CJ Frazier
Blue from Alabama, so you don't know who we talking about, but you know.
Oh, okay.
Now, and I see the comments like, yeah, they lost to a normal high school who is one of the best high schools in the state of Florida, if I'm not mistaken. Like they got like there are schools in the country who could beat them, but they're not scheduling those schools every weekend. Like it could happen like on some like brand, but like Miami Central isn't just a scrub high school. Like I'm talking about high schools like that we went to. Like we didn't have like they have 3 5-stars on the defensive line.
Right. I didn't know that you had ties to Bluffton too, man. I'm sorry, but yeah, no, I was in school. I know the majority of all those guys. When we had that state championship run, and then a couple of years prior, some heartbreaks that happened with like Myrtle Beach playing against like Everett Golson and all the other talent that was in South Carolina around that time. Those boys, do I think they could have hung when Bluffton was undefeated? I mean, the boys were scoring 56, 57 a game. Who knows?
I mean, to be honest, I really think Bluffton. I wouldn't see Bluffton winning, but the old school Bluffton with CJ Frazier at quarterback, and then a young Shami Blackshear coming off the edge. I think that Bluffton would have really made IMG sweat.
CJ probably all the records for the state too. I should ask him.
Now, I actually do have one question though. So, IMG Academy, they have all these recruits. They're 5-stars. If they had 6-stars, some to be 6-stars. In the last few years, have any of them ever been? Has anybody from IMG ever been in the conversation for Heisman or, best receiver or anything like that? Like, in college.
I don't know about. I mean, I know at one point they had both the Bosa twins playing DN, which sounds the most outrageous thing ever to have happen.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
On one team. Like I know the Bosa brothers came from that. Like they've had like a bunch of NFL talent come out of there.
What IMG?
No, I mean Nolan from Georgia went to IMG. He left Savannah and went to IMG.
Yeah, hang on, let's see.
That's attempted murder, man.
That's crazy. The Bosa.
Yeah, Nolan
Bro.
Savannah, right? I believe he was in Savannah and he went to IMG. I think junior and senior year, or maybe just year.
I mean, just listen to some of these people. So these are all people who played for IMG. They had Grant Delpit, DeAndre Francois, KJ Hamler, Josh Lambo, who's a Pro Bowl kicker, Dylan Moses, who played for Bama, Kellen Mond, Evan Neal, Greg Newsome, KJ Osborne, Shea Patterson, Bo Scarborough, Kenyatta Walker, Anthony Weaver. I mean, dude, they've had, and then the basketball team's even more insane because they have like every top basketball recruit. Or no, yeah, Bosa Brothers went to St. Thomas Aquinas. That's right. But yeah, Trayvon Walker went from IMG. I mean, they've had like stacked teams, dude.
Dylan Moses, I remember him. He was offered.
Dylan was crazy.
7th grade.
All right, so let's talk about the Heisman and the latest listings that came out, right? From college football on Fox. This is what they say. CJ Stroud is number 1. He's in the lead. Behind him, Hendon Hooker. Behind him, Blake Corum, then Drake May, and Caleb Williams. I would go past 5, but that is Stetson Bennett, and he has no chance in hell in winning the Heisman, so we might as well not even talk about him. But do y'all agree with this ranking for the Heisman?
No.
No?
I don't mind the 5 names on it, but I don't like the order. I don't know how everyone else feels. I don't mind the 5 names, but I don't like the order.
I would say where we are in the season and you know how things have transpired, I think that names are definitely deserving. The way that they're kind of set up, I wouldn't say yeah. Kind of surprised that Bryce isn't on there. I mean, I would say because you know he's still doing his thing, but at the same time, his other guys are a little bit more deserving. I mean, I don't know about Hendon Hooker right there, even at 2, honestly.
Yeah. I'm looking at the ranking now. I'm not a fan of CJ because that game against Northwestern, only 79 yards. That for some reason that just, and me living in Ohio, I live in Ohio right now. All I hear is CJ Stroud this, CJ Stroud that, OSU this, OSU that, and I don't like him at number 1. I don't like Hendon Hooker at number 2. I like Caleb Williams. Me just being a fan of Caleb Williams, I want him at 1 personally. I mean, I just like him. Stetson Bennett, I like his story. Starting out as a walk-on, winning the championship for UGA. I like the people. I just don't like the order, just like you said.
I mean, that CJ game, though, I mean, if there's ever an excuse, it's the fact they didn't throw the – I mean, it was like 40, 50, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Like, I mean, it was like kicks were getting kicked and getting blown, like, down. Yeah, so, like, there was like a reason his stats look like that. But I think – is there any question that – I mean, this is supposed to be the most valuable player in college football, like, he's supposed to give it to the best player. Is there a player right now who means more to his team if you took him off, and statistically he deserves it, than Drake May? Like, if you took Drake May off of UNC, that team is like 3-7 right now.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, that's another reason why I kind of said, man, it's a shock that they're going to – I mean, take Bryce Young away. I mean, Bama's still going to be very competitive. And that backup, I mean, looking at his nature, he's a freak athlete.
Yeah, the backup for Bama, I think he's number 4 in Texas. I don't remember his name, but he's built. That's a big dude.
It's Milroe. Yeah, Jalen Milroe.
I mean, out of all the quarterbacks on that list, I feel only quarterback, if you take him out the picture, a team will just die. I think Caleb Williams, man. I mean, the way USC was playing, I haven't seen USC play like this in a while. I usually don't stay up late to watch a USC game, but I have been recently. And I like the swag USC brings to the table now. Now that they have a quarterback like Caleb Williams.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
I think that you give Lincoln a couple of years with the recruiting abilities that they're going to have. Oh, yeah, USC is about to be on and popping in a couple of years.
Yeah.
I mean, I will say this, though. I know it's a quarterback award. And if you're going to get to a quarterback, I think Drake May is the obvious option. But I don't know what else Blake Corum could possibly do to make people convinced that he deserves it as a running back. I mean, he's doing – if Blake Corum is dominating, man, he's had over 1,300 yards, 6 yards per carry, 17 rushing touchdowns, and they still got possibly 3 games in the regular season to play, including the championship. I mean, he realistically could make a close run to what, if he's averaging, like, let's say if he hits 200, I mean, he can make a good run at 1,800 yards and easily be over 25 touchdowns going into the Heisman race.
It's just not like there's a good comment in the comments that says it's just a weak year for the Heisman, the one that's on the screen. I mean, it kind of is. I agree with that comment, honestly. I mean, there's not really like, it's not like when we turn on the TV and you saw Bryce last year, it's like all they did was talk about Bryce. That's all they talked about. And then even past Heisman guys, they would sit there and I mean, it was like clear cut as day. Like, this guy is just better than everyone. Lamar Jackson year. Like, this guy's just on the high. Like, who's got the headlines every single week? these guys. I just don't think it's like one of those things right now. It's kind of like a four-headed monster. It's see who finishes the season healthy and play it by votes.
And I'll say this about C.J. Stroud. He's leading, but the way their passing offense has looked, they're so heavily reliant on Marvin Harrison Jr. that without him, I don't even know if C.J. would be number one. Like you feel me? Like it is just a weak year for the Heisman. I agree with that. But going forward, who is the best NFL quarterback prospect? Because I saw this was brought up as well. Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, C.J. Stroud. Those three are, they're obvious. But then they threw Anthony Richardson in there and Grayson McCall. Blue, I know you have you on Grayson McCall. If let's say you were an NFL GM, you needed a quarterback. Out of these guys, who would you take?
Do we have the number one pick?
Yeah.
I'm trading back and taking Grayson McCall. Without question.
Had high praise.
Whatever.
Not last week, but the week before.
Yeah, listen, and Anthony Richardson, dude, I wouldn't take him with a 4th round pick. He's
not going.
I'm putting him at tight end? Like, he ain't playing quarterback for me. There ain't no way.
He's probably staying another year, and he's gonna hopefully develop and make him a case, man. But I definitely see. I mean, Grayson McCall goes to the combine, and scouts get in front of him. Seems like a very smart kid. Yeah. Best NFL prospect. I just think the poise behind Bryce Young is special. Now, do I think he needs to put on a little bit of a frame to be able to be, Kyler Murray, like we said with Coach. Coach pointed out, he said, Kyler carries that weight. He's not like a little dude. He's a little stockier guy.
Yeah, he's stocky. Yeah.
Bryce doesn't carry a lot of weight with him compared to like what the talent level is going to be in the NFL. But is he a pretty special talent? Yeah, I think he has a really good poise to him, like I was saying, with being able to stay cool, calm, collective. He rallies his team. When those boys are walking in a halftime, he's shaking everybody's hand, sitting there trying to show that he's a leader, and I think that's definitely a good quality. Translated to the NFL, it's definitely going to mean a lot in the locker room. How he's going to test the combine. I think one of the biggest things that I'm more excited about is not seeing Will Levis ranked him up these 5. I'm just not a super big fan. I think he's super overrated. The guy puts mayo in coffee, which is like kind of really totally random thing. But yes, Kobe, this man puts mayonnaise in his coffee. No creamer, mayo in the coffee. Just
red flag.
Weird.
No,
red flag.
And if I'm not mistaken, he eats bananas without peeling them.
Yes, bro. Like
what?
He just takes bites out of bananas.
Wow, I feel like he does it for the clout and the hype.
It is healthy.
I just think that he wasn't super great. I mean, the guy fumbles like worse than like Mark Sanchez, I feel like. Out of the question, who's the best NFL prospect out of all the guys, talent ready right now, I would say, give it up to Bryce and CJ. Anthony Richardson stays another year. Grayson McCall's probably gonna end up killing the combine, honestly. Hendon Hooker, I don't know why I'm not giving him love, man, but I just think that he still needs a little bit more development, man. You see some of these throws, these guys are wide open, and he's hitting. Yeah. But at the same time, I haven't really seen one of those things where it's like, damn, he took over. I mean, he had a good game against Alabama, but my man had a receiver who literally had 200 receiving yards, and he was pretty open, honestly.
You know what, Clayton? I agree with you with that. I was on the Hendon Hooker train, and then I saw the Georgia game, and I saw how the opportunities that he had to make plays with the throws, he did not make them, and that frustrated me. So I'm like, okay, he needs a little bit more work.
Some of those guys need work still.
Yeah, he needs work still. Blue, when it comes to Grayson McCall, I agree. All right, I'm a big fan of him. I love him. I think that offense is tailor-made for him at Coastal Carolina. He looks like he has so much fun in it. When it comes to Bryce Young, I've been watching him and DJ battle in high school. Like I've been following the St. John's Bosco program since Josh Rosen was there, Sean McGrew and those guys. So to see Bryce and to see DJ go up against it was great, right? But I always looked at but Bryce, and I was just like, I wonder how his game is going to translate to the league. Because I knew he was going there. I knew he was going to have opportunity. But looking at his frame, looking at just the way he drops back and the way he throws the ball, I'm like, how is he going to translate to the league? It's going to be interesting. But so I can't even say Bryce is it for me. I agree with you, Blue. I got to go Grayson. But my bad, Trey. What you think?
Honestly, I would love for Bryce Young to be the top prospect, but he has no frame, man. He's skin and bones. I'm scared he'll go top 5, go to a team with terrible offensive line, and he'll get Blake Griffin. You know, and that's just my biggest fear, man. I want him to put on some weight. I want him to get bulkier because the risk of going top 5 in the draft it's the chance of you going to a terrible team with no offensive line. And
Justin Fields.
Yeah, I just don't want him to get hurt, man. That's it. And I mean, most of the guys on Alabama's team, the TV doesn't do no justice. They're big on TV, but they're huge in person. But Bryce Young, he's the same size in person. Like I just need him to gain some weight. But I would love to see him be the top guy. But honestly, I'm gonna have to go with Grayson McCall though. I mean, I love the underdog. You know, Grayson McCall. I see him being a good guy. I see him being the top guy one of these days.
All right, now let's get to something that I really want to discuss because this was everything to me, right? The commissioner of the SEC said that they were really considering going into one big division in the conference, like just one whole division, no East, no West, like just one division. And I said, if that happens, I don't know if I want to play in the SEC. Like every week, you got to play some dogs when it comes to in-conference games and stuff like that. So, what is your opinion on that? Like, what do you think about this potentially happening? If this does happen, because I know Oklahoma and Texas are supposed to be coming, who's gonna make it out consistently? Can it really be Alabama? Like how it's has been? Can it really be Georgia? Like how do you think this is gonna go?
Well, they're still going to have scheduling pods. So that whole pod system everyone broke down like all off season, like they're going to have one big division. So the 2 best teams just overall go play for the SEC championship, but it's still going to be like scheduling divisions where, the rivalries stay the same. Like Ole Miss will play Mississippi State, LSU, and then possibly like Arkansas. And like it'll still be kind of like the pod system, but it'll just be the standings will be one big division. I love it. Everything else just seems like it's going to get too messy. You can't do 2 divisions with that many teams. Like it'll just be pure chaos. The pod system, I like it more for scheduling than I do because how do you determine the champion if you have like 4 pods? You have to have a 4-team playoff to determine the SEC championship. Right. That's not going to work. So I think one big division with pod system scheduling, so everyone is rotating on and off people's schedule, and it's not 15 years between Auburn and Florida playing in the swamp or et cetera. Like a nice rotation, a pod system organized, and I think it's good for the SEC, especially with how many teams they're going to have.
Side question for you, Blue. Where would you rank Florida on your rivalry scale?
I feel like in terms of in conference or just overall?
I feel like when you think of Auburn and Florida, like our matchups, like where we stay West and East. I just wanted to personally ask that because I feel like I'm being an East Florida fan, you're an Auburn fan, and what the last couple meetings we've had has been. But where do we lie?
I think it's top 5.
Top 5?
Yeah, for sure.
I think not as like but as a Florida fan, I feel like we wouldn't even. Not that you guys aren't a talented historic franchise like university. We don't really. When you ask a Florida fan like who's your top 5 rival, you don't say Auburn.
No, I mean, well, no one ever asked top 5 rivalries. It's probably Georgia, Bama, a secret one that if you ask an older Auburn fan, Georgia Tech, because that used to be a huge rivalry when they were in the SEC, and it was really close. And there's like a lot of history back in like the 1900s where we used to play all the time. That would probably be up there. LSU would be the other SEC rivalry that would probably be above y'all. But Auburn and LSU do not like each other. But, man, outside of that, I mean, there's nobody in conference that is really a real rival to Auburn. So, like, just because every time Auburn plays Florida, it's either high stakes or it's an insane game, I think it's not really a rivalry. It's more of like, man, we want to play Florida more. Like, we wish they were our rivals so we could play every year because the games are always insane.
The games are always good. Back to the question of thoughts on the SEC leaning towards a big division. Like you were saying, the pod system is a pretty big component there. I think it's going to be tough, man, because you have all these other teams that are going to be joining the conference soon, man. And, like, you know, I think keeping them in divisions, I would think that why not break them down into – they should make the SEC kind of, you know, branch it out a little bit, and let's make it, you know, instead of East and West, let's branch it out a little bit more and make it so you have smaller division champions, I guess. Like, somebody wins the East, somebody wins the West. Well, why does somebody win the North or somebody win the South? And because it would help out with like these hard questions of, well, 2 lost so-and-so is playing 1 lost so-and-so. And if 1 lost so-and-so beats them, then what happens if they're ranked higher kind of thing? Because SEC just has so much talent. And whether people want to be, you know, unbiased or not, it's tough because how many of the last 15 championships have been an SEC team? How many of the last 20? The last 20? I mean, it's tough. So big divisions are absolute chaos, man, but I wouldn't be against it.
To be honest, I thought it would be a big cluster mess until you brought up the pod system. I'm looking up the pod system right now, and I think making just one big division actually is a good idea. I didn't even know this pod system existed until you brought it up, and I'm reading about it now, and yeah, it makes sense. So I'm all for it, to be honest. Sounds exciting, and it gives you never know, upsets happen. It gives the underdogs a chance to beat a big team. You never know. I mean, that's why I love college football, man, because a trash team like, I don't know, UAB could beat Ohio State. That's not gonna happen today, but you know, just example.
Yeah, wild things happen in college football. Like, you know, that's just what it is.
Crazy to think of.
Yeah, moving forward, right? TCU and the controversy that surrounds that school. Number one, do you guys feel like they have a weak resume when it comes to the playoffs? And number two, do you believe it? And, you know, Blue, I don't either, but I've heard so many people say that, including Stephen A. Smith. You know, he got on First Take. It was like they haven't played anybody. But, you know, aside from that, do you believe they have a weak college football playoff resume? And do you think they finished this season undefeated with Baylor and Iowa State remaining on the schedule?
Can I say this? Like, I'm a football guy. Stephen A. Smith talking college football is like me trying to talk like tennis. Like, that dude has zero college football knowledge. Like, I would rather talk to the wall next to me about college football than Stephen A. Smith. He is atrocious with his college football takes. But anyway, that's my side note about Stephen A. Smith. But no, I don't think so. I mean, they got what? 5 ranked wins, and now they get to go on the road against Baylor and beat Iowa State as well, plus whoever they probably another ranked win picked up in the conference championship game. You get 6 ranked wins at the end of the season, and you're an undefeated conference champ. It should be a no question, hands down playoff pick right there. And I think they got one of the better resumes out of all the teams. They got a stronger strength of schedule than Michigan, if I'm not mistaken. Mm-hmm. So why is everyone not picking on them? It's people who don't know college football think big brands are the only ones that can have solid resumes and strong strength of schedules. And that's why I consistently say, if you're not a real college football fan and you just throw TCU out there and just say like, oh, they haven't played nobody, you didn't watch a lick of football or a lick of film on TCU at all.
And you know what, Blue, to piggyback off that, right? Did most of TCU's wins not come in like close games and like close battles? So are they not as battle tested as any other team, you know, that they're competing against when it comes to this playoff thing? So like, I think a little bit more respect needs to be given to them because they're finding ways to pull these games out in the clutch. So like, if anything, you should have more faith in them and you should want to see them in the playoffs. But you know, what Trey, Clay, what do y'all think?
So, do I think that they, answering the question, do I believe they remain undefeated? They should beat those teams. They should beat Baylor. They should beat Iowa State. Now, going back into whenever we mentioned it last week, they have wins on record of what those teams were when they played. They have a number 18, a number 8, and a number 17. And like he said, you're picking up some more of these ranked wins, and you're undefeated, yet you're a playoff lock. Absolutely. You should be in the playoffs. There shouldn't be a question about it. There shouldn't even be a conversation about it. They have the resume. Why not? Just because maybe later in the season those teams dropped out of the rankings. Well, that's okay. At the time they played, they were ranked this though. So it's tough because you also let's look at the other side of the penny and let's just be 100% real. And I'm sorry if this might offend any TCU fans. I have mad love for them. Shout out to Shamik because I know he has a bad love with TCU, transferring over there after Carolina. But I will say, I think that they played a couple. I would say the majority of the other teams in the top 6, 7. I don't think they beat them. I think that they go to the playoffs. I think they're the weakest link by far. Just with you see the ability the other teams have. TCU's not going in and going to put 30 on Georgia. They're not putting. They might put 30 on Tennessee. Tennessee might put 50 on them. Then it just Ohio State would be a really high scoring game if Ohio State plays Ohio State offense. But I don't know. Answering the question that's on the screen is do I get it? Yeah, but playoff hopes. Oof.
Trey, what about you?
Honestly, I'm not that knowledgeable about TCU, but me looking at college football history back when it was top 2 teams, TCU always fell short at number 3 a bunch of times, especially during the Trayvon Boykin era. Mm-hmm. So just looking back at that, I would love to see TCU finally have a chance to actually do something and show the world that, hey, the Horned Frogs are competitors. But I haven't watched a lot of TCU football this year, honestly. So I really don't have a lot to say about that. But I would love to see them have a chance. So I do see them beating Baylor. And, well, that Baylor game, I feel that's going to be close. Iowa State, I've seen a few of their games. That's a definite win. But Baylor, that's going to be a close game for them. But I would love to see them stay in the top 4, do what they got to do. And you never know. They might upset somebody. I mean, they might upset somebody. I mean, even Georgia has bad games sometimes.
That's a good point.
All right, so closing in on the hour, let's we're gonna speed things up a little bit. I want to go with three big games this week. Well, the biggest games this week. Who y'all got? USC versus UCLA. I know this is Dorian Thompson Robinson. Yeah, that's his name. This is his last year. Man, he's been playing great football. Always liked his game. But, I mean, USC, Caleb Williams, they coming in hot as well. Who y'all picking?
I'm going for UCLA.
UCLA. You think DTR pulls it out?
Yeah, I see them pulling it out. I mean, I love Caleb Williams. I love his game. But that UCLA and USC game, it's always been a different environment, it seems like. And this is going to be new for Caleb Williams. So I see UCLA pulling it off. I feel like it's going to be one of those upset games. I don't know. I love college football upsets, and I just see that as an upset game. So okay. I got UCLA with this one.
You know what? Before as I'm sitting here thinking about while you're talking, I'm sitting here and my original gut feeling that for some reason I feel like it's going to be a UCLA upset. Just like I don't know why the feeling. I'm not trying to just like make it up or anything. That sounds like a good upset. It really does.
It does.
Roll with it. I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah.
I think UCLA.
I'm gonna roll with USC, man. I think UCLA, man, they got exposed last week when they lost to Arizona. I mean, Arizona is atrocious, and they could not get them off the field. I think Caleb Williams is a huge upgrade in what they're going to see in terms of quarterback. Also, man, the running back dive for USC has been a really sneaky part of that offense. I think USC pulls it out on the road this weekend.
All right, TCU, Baylor. I know y'all already said y'all feel like TCU's gonna win that. We ain't got to talk about that. UCLA, I mean not UCLA, Utah and Oregon. Trey, I don't want to hear your pick. I don't want to hear your pick, Trey. All right, I know who you got.
Utah, man. Utah for the upset, man. I'm sorry. Is Bo Nix playing this week?
I'm sorry?
Is Bo Nix starting this week?
Yes, he is.
Okay, well, if he's starting, y'all losing. And you know what? Since we're talking about this, I'm gonna bring up something old. In 2020, Oregon was lucky COVID became a thing.
Man, here you go.
Oregon was going to get exposed by North Dakota State. That was going to be the most watched money game in history. And y'all going to get exposed. I just want to get it off my chest. I'm done.
Anyways, all right. When I look at this game, I think of it like this, okay? If it comes to a shootout, Utah ain't sticking with us, okay? And I feel confident about that. We'll put up 40 if we got to. Now, I know that quarterback number 7, I forget his name. He had his way with us last year. And, maybe he will again because our defense is atrocious. I besides Noah Sewell and besides Jefferson, Justin Flo, our defense is trash. Offensively, they is not sticking with us like punch for punch. I'm just saying. If it's a shootout, I think we got a shot and I think we pull it out. But the defense is just gonna have to play better ball than what we've seen last week because I'm still mad about that loss. But y'all go ahead. Tell me what y'all think, Blue and Clay.
Man, I think it's going to be a good game between you guys, man. But I think that the first game of the season for Utah, we would have a completely different rankings. If we played that game again, I don't think necessarily we would beat Utah. I think that there's definitely a chance, but I think for them to come out playing that game with not having a game plan on us, kind of really screwed their season up really bad because now they're sitting here, could have been a one-loss team, and it's a different ball game conversation here because they're good. The following week they went out and on a hinge, even though they didn't play nobody after they lost to us. Being a Gator fan, they went out and scored 70 the next week. Ran it up to sit there and get those reps in because they were pissed. They shouldn't have lost that game. I think that their quarterback is talented, man. Honestly, no hate, Kobe, but like you said, that defense being the way that it is, I would hate to have a bad defense for a guy who he can be a gunslinger if he really wants to turn it on a little bit. I feel like, and he has good flashes, but I'm gonna ride with Utah, man. Much love to you still, Kobe, though.
It's cool. It's cool.
I'm going to tell you right now, Kobe, man. Utah, they are about to make love to you guys. And
Hey, Trey.
I mean, what's Utah's quarterback last name? Rising? Is that his last name?
Yeah, Cam Rising.
Yeah, Cam Rising is about to get a rise.
Don't let me. You don't know the name, all right?
We didn't lose 49-3 this season. I'm perfectly fine with that.
Okay, all right, Blue. What's your pick?
See, I got your back. I don't know what he was talking about. He asked if Bo Nix was playing out, and I was like, if he's not playing, I'm going with Utah. But man, Bo Nix has been the answer for Oregon this year. Like he was in the Heisman contention before he goes down with an injury. So with Bo Nix being healthy, man, I think Oregon takes it at home. And Audson's a tough place to play, and I think Oregon pulls out a close one because they should have won last week, man. And when Bo went out, that drive kind of fell apart late there for them to take that go-ahead lead. So I'm gonna go with Oregon in the rebound this weekend over Utah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, Bo Nix actually is a really good quarterback. I'm just trolling. I just hate Oregon.
I'm surprised by him. I'm not gonna lie. I thought we was coming from Auburn.
Yeah, when he was at Auburn, he seems to be fitting in, and he's rewriting the story. But
man, I'll say this:
I almost just had a Gatorade come out of my nose, and then after I was turning around laughing, I about fell out of my chair.
I'll say this: you can't argue. Notre Dame would take Bo Nix right now, be begging on their hands and knees to have a quarterback.
I'm gonna be honest. Bo Nix can run, and that's what we need. So yeah, if we have Bo Nix, I would be happy because we honestly in the past I've seen us do better. Like Everett Ghost will forever be my favorite Notre Dame quarterback.
Yeah,
Him and I feel this like Kaiser. They love to run.
Sean Kaiser.
And yes, they love to run, man, and that's what always helped us. But
Everett Ghost, boy, talk about a guy.
Yeah.
But just we'll go on to the next one. I can sit here and be like, God bless. I remember that man came out and just, like you said, made love to us.
He tore us up, bro.
Yeah,
he tore our school up. I swear to God. All right, last segment of the night, man. I'm gonna let y'all get out of here. Overreaction, not a real overreaction. All right, I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna name a statement that I saw on the internet. You tell me if it's an overreaction or not an overreaction, and then we'll end it right there. All right, so overreaction, not an overreaction. All right, TCU would get embarrassed in the playoffs.
It depends who they play.
But it's an overreaction, man. Everyone every year screams that. And listen, the idea that someone would get embarrassed in the playoffs is a reason they shouldn't make it is the dumbest argument of all time. Bama's been blown out in the playoffs. Clemson's been blown out in the playoffs. Ohio State's been shut out in the playoffs. Oklahoma got 70 put up in one half against LSU that one year. Like, all these blue blood programs get beat to death all the time in the playoffs, but because they got the brand, we get amnesia about it. Everyone said Cincinnati was going to get 70 put on them, and they played
Right.
Bama tough for 3.5 quarters. TCU would be just fine. It's an overreaction. It's just people trying to like justify their weird hate of TCU because it's not a blue blood program.
I like TCU. I think that that they have talent. They're a talented football team. They have some ranked wins. They got a good resume, like I was saying obviously earlier whenever we talked about it a little bit. But nerves start playing. Teams play tight. Do I think they have the ability to get embarrassed in the playoffs? Yeah, I say that. I'm telling you, Ohio State plays 60 minutes of football when their offense is clicking. When you see it, when you're watching some of their games, and you see that offense just come down there and they're moving the ball, connecting on every single one of these pass plays and these setup plays. Whew, I think that they would. If that was the matchup, Ohio State TCU, I think Ohio State comes out there and plays. It could be nasty.
So you going not overreaction then? Trey, what you going with?
I say overreaction, man, because everybody gets at least once. Everybody gets embarrassed, in the college football playoffs. I mean, just like you said, Ohio State got embarrassed by Clemson. Oklahoma got embarrassed by LSU. Clemson got embarrassed by LSU. You know what I'm saying? Like everybody gets embarrassed, quote unquote. You're not going to have a perfect season all the time. It's just life, man. I mean, so definitely overreaction. I just think people want TCU. I feel like people are treating TCU like Cincinnati was last year. Yeah. I feel that's how they're treating it right now. I'm just like, come on, man. It's not the same team. Different things could happen. You just never know. So I'm going overreaction.
Okay. Overreaction, not an overreaction. This is the worst DB room that we have seen in Alabama in years.
On the fence, kind of, because I feel like they do have some guys back there, but I would say they always have talent. I mean, it's Alabama, but I would say I'm 50-50 on it. I mean, they don't have that guy that's like who they've had over the X amount of years when they have
like
that lockdown,
that Drake Kirkpatrick. They don't,
corner that's the big name guy that's going to the draft that everybody knows about. Kool-Aid's good, but I feel like Kool-Aid also he gives up plays that's like you shouldn't give that up, man. Like you could have gave it a little bit more. I feel like he just doesn't give the effort there. But I don't know. I'm kind of 50-50. I don't know.
I think it's kind of like 50. I think it might not be an overreaction. Listen, they got talent, but in terms of execution and
yeah.
I would say like just execution on the field is the worst in years. I'll say that. I don't think talent-wise it is, but execution-wise, penalty-wise, discipline-wise, it is probably the worst I've seen in multiple years now.
Trey, what about you?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it the worst. I just feel that they're going up against better receivers, man. I mean, like I'm looking at that Tennessee game. Sorry, that's my daughter coughing. But I look at that Tennessee game, and the guy who had 200 yards, I feel he was just a better athlete. I mean, execution-wise, talent-wise, I don't think this is the worst. But when it comes to penalties and missed assignments and a few missed tackles, I would say it's probably the worst. But talent-wise, I don't think it's the worst, though.
Okay. Overreaction, not an overreaction. If Jim Harbaugh continues to struggle with Ohio State, they should consider replacing him.
Oh, overreaction. Scream that from the dude just beat Ohio State last year and went to the playoffs. Come on, man. This is outrageous at this point.
Can we stop with I don't know what it is. I get it's like you have ADs and you have, boards and boosters that sit there and money talks and stuff like that. And you have the boosters that have, the bias and the love for their schools. Man, can we please stop with if so-and-so doesn't beat this school, despite that it might be their only loss of the season and they're a top 5 school, like just can that stop? Like forever.
It should, but it should stop. But that's an intense rivalry.
I mean, I get the rivalry game. It's like, well, you can't beat the rivalry. But listen, you're one game away. And if you're telling me that a team goes undefeated and they don't beat that one team, like we're talking about how many times did Alabama and Clemson play? So after the second time it went around, should they have been like, hey, Saban?
Well, to be fair, okay, it was like what 5 times before he beat him, but like I'm saying, since he beat him last year, like he at least has to like that should have bought him 3 years minimum, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you would think, yeah.
And the year this year for sure, overreaction.
I feel like when it comes to the fan base, it's like they just feel like we're so close to being a playoff national championship team, and we can't get past this one team every year. I feel like they're letting their frustration, their emotions get the best of them, and they want to call for somebody else who can get them over that hump. But now, like, you're right, one loss. Come on, man. But Trey, what you think?
I give it overreaction, man, because the way they're treating Coach Harbaugh right now, it reminds me of Dabo Swinney when he lost to USC 5 years in a row. Like, I personally don't remember people giving Dabo that same energy. Me personally, I don't remember. But, man, it's a rivalry game, man. It's a rivalry game. Even a sorry team going against a good team, if it's a rivalry, it's a whole different beast. Nobody cares about penalties. They just want to beat the hell out of you and win. So I'm going with overreaction, man. I mean, he beat him last year, and if he beats him again this year, that should end the conversation. Leave it alone.
All right.
I'm done. Go ahead.
Okay, bet. Last two. Not an overreaction, not an overreaction. If Quinn Ewers stays healthy, Texas would be a top 5 team right now.
Overreaction because they lost with him as a starter.
Overreaction.
Overreaction.
Last one. Tennessee is a 1-year wonder, one-hit wonder.
Overreaction in all caps.
Way overreaction, biggest overreaction. Honestly, I'm surprised that people are even if that's the talk on Twitter, if that's the talk on social media platforms, if they're going to be a one-hit wonder, you don't think after this year and the ability with this offense that these guys are going to start getting out there on the trail and showing, hey, look, we got a little bit of competency here in Tennessee. People are going to go there. They have playing time available.
Right.
They have a really great O-line right now that they've gotten and shown that they have the ability to, develop over the years. Cade Mays, he was at Georgia, not even a full season?
Yep.
It was a full season. Cade Mays goes over there and he still got developed. Maybe it's a testament how good Cade Mays is. But these boys they're putting talent. They're putting years. It's a complete overreaction.
They have a top 10 national player and the number 3 quarterback in the country committed in the next recruiting cycle for when Hendon Hooker leaves. He's recruiting at a high level right now, and it's still early in his coaching career at Tennessee. The fact that people just think it's a one-hit wonder is an overreaction. Now, it might be, but there's nothing on Friday, November 18th that should tell you that it's a one-hit wonder.
Trey, what about you?
Yeah, I don't see them as a one-hit wonder, man. They came a long way. Tennessee has came a long way, and their recruiting has gotten better. Yeah, I don't see them as a one-hit wonder. This season shows that in the future is going to be great for Tennessee.
They're a good ball team.
Yeah, they're going to be SEC's next, headhunters in the next few years. Now, past seasons, okay, we know Alabama beat them 52, however, but this season is the start of Tennessee being the next good SEC team.
Okay. This was off the record. I just want to know before y'all leave. I want y'all opinion before y'all leave. There was a debate on who's really running back you, Alabama or Georgia. I just want to know real quick, who do you believe is running back you out of those two?
Georgia.
Really?
Yeah, Georgia literally has that dog in them, man.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm by myself with that.
Georgia, man.
Looking at this, okay, this is the question that I have, and I had a conversation with a friend the other day talking about wide receiver you, but it wasn't about, obviously schools were talked about too, but when you say running back you, are we talking about what these guys do in college or what these guys do in the pros, including college? Because you have these guys who are in college who go absolutely nuts, and then they turn out to be in the NFL and they have the name Eddie Lacy. And then they have guys.
I'm just talking about like I look at Alabama's like history. They have 2 Heisman winners at running back. Like
I
that's
don't
why
care.
I'm like, okay,
They have
Derrick Henry, I'm gonna go Alabama. But you know,
No.
y'all like, why do y'all
But,
go
like,
Georgia?
I got you. Hang on. I got everyone. Let me just run down the list of running backs real quick. Are y'all ready? And I'll start. Let me just also remember Herschel Walker came in the 80s.
Okay,
Herschel Walker's
before you go into, I'm going to cut you off, but when you talk about it, I want to hear your opinion on when we say running back are we saying what they do in college or what they do in college and then what they're doing in the NFL too?
Like,
it's a little bit of both. Like, I mean, like, of course, like getting to the NFL is a big deal.
Yeah, they're producing guys and they have really stellar careers, and then they get to the NFL and it's like, yeah, like the built by Bama thing. I and like the UGA, like they got that dog in them kind of thing. Like I get it for that like conversation of position, but like you have guys, they both have guys that are crazy in college, but how many of these guys go into the NFL and are really like?
I don't think it matters the distinction at all. Like Georgia wins either way, in my opinion. Like I don't even think it's a debate. Like you got Herschel Walker, you got Noshawn Marino, Terrell Davis, Todd Gurley, Sony Michel, Nick Chubb, DeAndre Swift, James Cook, and Zamir White. Plus, there's 3 running backs on the roster right now that are about to get drafted in the upcoming years. Like it's not even a debate. Like
Really?
outside of Derrick Henry, outside of him, who you hanging your hat on for Bama?
Okay, for me. I wasn't counting the NFL because obviously you know Georgia would win that. But I mean Trent Richardson,
Najee, Mark Ingram,
Jacobs,
TJ Yeldon came and went to the NFL. TJ Yeldon played meaningful snaps in the NFL.
TJ Yeldon.
Break. I mean, Bama has some guys that have been done their thing. They're not the same caliber. Do we credit Alvin Kamara going to Bama, or we say that he went to Tennessee?
He went to Tennessee.
Because I can't give Bama.
Okay.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara went to Tennessee. I don't count him as a Bama back.
Yeah,
He was
no,
there
no
in that
way.
viral photo.
Yeah, there's no way. And like with me, with Mark Ingram, okay, you could say he won the Heisman. Let's all agree he didn't even lead the country in rushing touchdowns or yards per carry. That's the most phony ass Heisman that anyone's ever won. He didn't deserve it.
Yeah, to be honest, I look at what they do in the NFL too. I mean,
Yeah.
right. So Nick Chubb, Swift, goddamn, what's the other guy's name? Oh, Cook, who plays for honestly, I see Cook taking Singletary's spot for the Bills in the future.
I do too.
Yeah. And I really see that, man. And I just even Todd Gurley at first. Todd Gurley, with the Rams at first. Like those running backs were my favorite, man. And Georgia will always have a stacked roster. Like one game, the starting running back may have less than the third string. The fourth string may have more than the second string. Like Georgia literally has a tight end playing slot. I mean, that's amazing, bro. Bowers is a 6'4", 240-pound tight end playing slot.
He's a dog too. I just want to put that out there. He's a dog.
Georgia has dogs, bro. And then they have this Titan playing tight end also. They have a great offensive. Georgia recruits dogs, man. Literally. So I'm gonna go with Georgia. RBU.
All right, I got you. Y'all proved me wrong with that. All right. But listen, this was fun. This is very much fun. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this again. Like I said, man, to everybody watching, we will try to do this thing every single Friday. But if it doesn't happen, just know that's because life, things happen. Schedules conflict sometimes. That's that. But hey, anything y'all want to say before we get up out of here? Like I said, I really appreciate all y'all being on here, man. This is fun, man. Anything y'all want to say?
Go Irish.
Man, I just appreciate you having me, man. I'm looking forward to it.
I had one thing. There was something that we talked about this week that I wanted to bring up again, and I wanted to ask Blue. If I think about it, I'll just message you on Instagram or something and say something. I'm trying to look through it, but yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Look forward to doing it again. Trev, nice to meet you. Kobe, thank you for having us.
Hey, thank you for being on. And also, shout out to HBCU Spotlight. That's our Blue. That's our guy. Hey, subscribe to HBCU Spotlight, man. He's one of the best storytellers on this platform. I promise you, that's our guy, man. Spotlight, thank you for watching, bro. I really appreciate it. But hey, man, we out. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. See y'all next week.